Talk about one of the biggest challenges in modern logistics. How do you organize a warehouse? And I don't mean just any warehouse. I'm talking about a massive, fast-paced facility that's really the engine of our global economy. So let's dive right in. I mean, really think about that for a second. You've got a million different items constantly coming in, constantly going out. How in the world do you keep track of every single box, every pallet, and make sure that the right thing gets to the right place at exactly the right time? It sounds like an impossible task, but there's a system. And the secret, it turns out, is to build a perfect digital replica of your physical warehouse, what we call a digital twin. Now, this isn't just some static map. It's a living, breathing model that knows where everything is, all the time. Today, we're going to explore the blueprints for building this model inside SAP's Extended Warehouse Management System, or EWM for short. Just like with any good blueprint, you have to start with the big picture. And in our digital warehouse, that means defining the largest areas first, the main zones. In the world of SAP EWM, these are called storage types. Now, let's look at the official definition for a sec. I want you to notice those words, physical or logical. That's a really important distinction. A storage type can be a real, tangible place, like a set of shelves, sure, but it can also be a conceptual area, like the yard where all the trucks are waiting. That flexibility is absolutely key. So you've got to shift your thinking here. A warehouse isn't just one giant room full of stuff. It's actually a collection of specialized zones, and every single one of those zones has a very specific job to do in the grand scheme of things. And here are some super common examples to make this real. Of course, you've got your standard storage, that's your classic racks and shelves, but you also have a staging area, which is just a temporary spot for goods that are about to be loaded or have just been unloaded. A work center could be a packing station. And get this, even the yard, the literal parking lot, is treated as its own defined zone. Each one is a unique storage type. Okay, so we've got our big zones mapped out. Now, we're going to zoom in a level deeper. We need to bring some order to the space within those zones. It's kind of like going from the neighborhood level down to a specific street. And this is where storage sections come into play. So the official definition says we're subdividing. We're taking one of those big storage types and we're slicing it into smaller, much more manageable pieces. The key phrase here is grouping things with similar attributes. To make this super simple, let's go back to that zone idea. If the storage type is the whole grocery store, then a storage section is like a single aisle in that store. You know, the cereal aisle, the dairy aisle, the frozen foods aisle. Each one holds a very specific category of items. And here's what those attributes look like in the real world. Inside your main racking area, you might create one section just for heavy stuff that has to stay on the bottom shelves. You'd probably want another one for your fast-moving items, right up front by the shipping doors for quick access. And you definitely need a separate, secure section for any hazardous materials. See? This is how the system starts to get really, really smart. We've gone from the zone to the aisle. Now let's zoom in one last time, all the way down to the individual product sitting on the shelf. How does the system know not just where something is, but the specific details of every single item? The answer is a little concept called a quant. Now, a quant is not just the product itself. It's more specific. It's a certain amount of that product, with its own unique identity, all sitting together in one single location. This is the most granular, most detailed level of inventory tracking you can possibly get. You know, the best way to wrap your head around a quant is to think of it as a digital smart label that's attached to a pile of stock. And this label holds all the critical info that makes that specific stock totally unique and traceable from the second it arrives to the second it leaves. So what's actually on this smart label? Well, it's way more than just the product number. It tracks the stock's status, like is it ready to sell or is it blocked for quality inspection? It knows the exact batch it came from, which is crucial for things like recalls. It even knows who legally owns the stock. This level of detail is what makes precise control even possible. Okay, let's pause. We've built our digital blueprint. We've got zones, we've got aisles, and we've got these smart labels. So what? I mean, how does this incredibly detailed structure actually make a warehouse run any better? Well, let's see how it lets us create some really smart rules. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? All of this data is totally useless if it doesn't lead to smarter, faster, more efficient decisions. The magic happens when the system uses all this information to automate really complex choices. Check out this classic warehouse problem. Let's say you get a new shipment of a product you already have. Should you add it to a bin that already has some? If you do, like on the left, you save a ton of space. But, and it's a big but, you lose track of which batch came in first. For things like food or medicine, where first in, first out is a must, you have to prohibit that, like you see on the right. Because the system tracks every single quant, it lets you make this critical decision on a product-by-product basis. And it doesn't stop there. This same detailed tracking unlocks other cool efficiencies, like something called mixed storage. With the right rules in place, the system knows it's perfectly safe to put two totally different products, or maybe two different batches of the same product, into a single bin without ever losing track of which is which. That is a massive space saver. So let's zoom back out and take a look at the complete master plan we've just put together. We've literally built our digital warehouse from the ground up, layer by logical layer. When you boil it all down, it really comes back to these three fundamental building blocks. You start big with your zones, your storage types. Then, you get organized within those zones with your aisles, the storage sections. And finally, you track every single thing with a smart label, the quant. It's a simple but incredibly powerful hierarchy. And what's the big takeaway from all this? This isn't just about data entry or organizing shelves. This level of digital precision, the ability to perfectly mirror the real world inside a computer, is the engine that makes modern global logistics possible. It's what lets companies fulfill millions of orders with a speed and accuracy that would have been unthinkable just a generation ago. So we've just walked through the blueprint for total warehouse control, from the truck in the parking lot all the way down to the single box on a shelf. Every single thing has a place and a purpose in this digital twin. The real question I want to leave you with is this: what could that level of visibility and control do for your operations? Have you